It is Sunday morning. It is the 26th of February. What? Yeah. How are you? I'm First Warning meteorologist Eric Burris. This is Coffee Talk. We get together 7 days a week in the mornings, chat about what's going on in the world of weather, hopefully getting your day started off on the right note. Hopefully, here to answer any questions you may have and to put a smile on your face. At least that's the goal. Listen, out the door this morning, we are watching some areas that are dealing with fog. This just happens not to be one of those areas. This is a look over at New Smyrna Beach. We are looking fantastic. Here's one of those areas that I've been watching fog along I-75 this morning. Thankfully, that's just not the case anymore. I'm looking around at our different traffic cameras, and you can kind of see this is I-75 at mile marker 352. We're watching a little bit of fog there, a little bit of fog here. This is up into Marion County. So there's definitely some fog around Central Florida this morning. Thankfully, it's kind of localized in spots, but like here you go. It's obviously pretty thick, kind of the further north I'm going on our traffic cameras. So yeah, there's a little bit of fog, just a little bit of fog to deal with this morning. Meanwhile, you head over like to Brevard County, Port Canaveral, and it's just a little bit of a haze. So it's not a bad start to the day. It's just kind of one of those things, right? Right. We do have dense fog advisories that are posted for parts of Central Florida. The dense fog advisories are in effect for Marion, Sumter, and Polk counties, and that runs until 9 o'clock this morning, okay? So just keep that in mind. First warning, live Doppler radar, rain-free, certainly the condition we like to see on a weekend day. Temperatures looking outstanding. We are in the 60s for everybody. Looking good. So where do we go from here? Temperatures are climbing to 83 degrees by 1 o'clock, 86 degrees by 3 o'clock. It's going to be a beautiful day. It's going to be another bright, sunny, very warm day. As long as you can handle a little warm, some like it hot, right? Connie, good morning to you. Fran, how are you? Marie, good morning, good morning. Taylor, Elizabeth, Emmy, Nicole, good morning, everybody. I love it. Who else is here? Pat in the room. Let's see. Frank, Chris Pierce, are you back in town? Good morning to you. Good morning. It is a lovely, lovely, lovely start to the day. Happy to see it. Chad, good morning. Glad to see you here today. So there's a look at the forecast. In terms of temperatures, neighborhood by neighborhood, there you go. 86 in Orlando, 85 in Leesburg, 84 degrees in Ocala. It's 83 in New Smyrna Beach. So we are absolutely looking good. Overall weather picture, frankly, it's not really changing much. High pressure, still our dominant weather influencer. But interestingly enough, over the next couple of days, that area of high pressure, at least at the surface, starts to shift around, and we start to kick up more of a southwesterly wind. So if you recall, like last week, it was warm, and then it got hot, and then temperatures have come down just a little bit. Warm. It's going to get hot again. So that wind is going to turn things around a little bit. So looking at forecast temperatures the next couple of days, at least the next couple of days. Hold on one second. The digital media manager is messaging me. Sorry. Chelsea is messaging me. She's our digital media manager, so had to pause for that. So we've kind of had some ups and downs in terms of our temperatures, but they're staying warm. Even when we're at our lower end, they're warm. Like these next couple of days, it's near record heat, but we're into the middle 80s moreover. So like today, not expecting a record in Orlando. Tomorrow, not expecting a record in Orlando. Tuesday, we get a little closer. But then by Wednesday, Thursday, we get even hotter. By Thursday, we're expecting 89 degrees. Now remember, we've never gotten above 90 in February. We got close. We didn't get there this year, okay? So there you go, 89 the Thursday forecast. The hottest temperature that we have gotten in Orlando this year has been 88 degrees. So never made it to 89, never made it to 90. Yeah, so that's where we're at. Warmest temperature, by the way, since early November forecast for this upcoming week. But it's kind of interesting, because we know for a fact that we have been warm. But when you look at the data, I think that it tells kind of an interesting little element. So let's just take a look. I was digging through some of the archives. Based on forecasts and trajectory, we're on set for the second warmest February on record in Orlando. Our average high temperature is 82.4 degrees. That means that this month we have been 7.5 degrees above average. The record warmest February in Orlando is 2018. We were at 82.7 degrees for our high temperature. So, I mean, is it possible that we break that? Yeah, it is. I'm personally hoping we don't, but it's possible. So that's one interesting little tidbit. But listen, when I went digging down the pipeline, that's not the only interesting tidbit I found. Let's talk about how dry we have been. We're on track to have the 10th driest February on record in Orlando. We got a ½ inch of rain. Los Angeles, California had 2.5 inches of rain. I just thought that was interesting. Granted, this is a little bit more of their busy pattern. This is definitely a little bit of our quieter pattern. But it's an interesting tidbit. If nothing else, it's an interesting tidbit, and I will take that. Just a little something. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. So that's kind of where we're at. If you're heading over to the beaches today, people, happy to report forecast looking great. Seas and surf nice and relatively low. Water temperatures are still chilly, but go enjoy, right? Right? Yeah, I've seen a few of you talking about Cruise 6. Very excited for Cruise 6 tonight. I will be in the weather lab, so immediately after the Today Show cut-in today, I'm going home and I'm getting some sleep because I am back at the station at like 5 o'clock tonight to bring the weather lab, and we're going over to Cruise 6. So, good times. Never a dull moment in the news business. 95% chance of good weather. But the crew abort weather gets into question. So because it's coffee talk, we can get into this, and I'll get more into this tonight. But what does crew abort weather mean? Let's talk about crew abort weather, okay? Actually, wrong graphic, stand by. Crew abort weather, how does this play out? So that's the launch pad that they're taking off from. This is Launch Complex 39 over at the Kennedy Space Center. All right, that's the trajectory for the rocket itself. Why is this computer glitchy today? Somebody need to kick you in the head? Let's try this again. All right, lifting off. It just doesn't like that fast zoom, I guess. All right, lifting off, and it's kind of heading off toward the north and the east, which means that people along the eastern seaboard are going to have a nice view. But along that way, of course, we know first stage has to land on Just Read the Instructions drone ship off the coast of the Carolinas. But the weather forecast has to take into account that entire ascent corridor, which, just like the shuttles, would go up the eastern seaboard. Why is that? Well, among other reasons, this is a crewed mission. Okay, so God forbid there's an issue. This entire path, they're gaining altitude, and that's great. That's what you need to do. You need to hit that terminal velocity, that 22,500 miles an hour, to escape Earth and get up into low Earth orbit. But by going in that direction, you're never that far for land. Okay, you're safely offshore, but you're never that far off the shoreline. So God forbid there's an issue. God forbid there's an issue, Falcon 9 has the ability with the Draco thrusters to actually take the Dragon capsule and blast it away from the rocket. And once it blasts away, it would land in the ocean just like it's expected to do upon splashdown, which in this case would be 6 months or so down the line. So we not only have to watch things at liftoff, but we have to watch that entire corridor until they make it to space. Because should there, God forbid, be an anomaly, that plays into things. So just want, that I want to make sure you know, that way when we're talking about the launch forecast and you see crew abort weather, you understand why that's a factor. It's a very important factor. Going back to the shuttle days, it was a much more difficult needle to thread because it's an orbiter. It was essentially a glider, so you had to have perfect weather to be able to land at different locations along the way, essentially, on that ascent corridor. All right, any questions about that? Comments, concerns? Can I nerd out for a couple seconds? And we'll be talking more about this come tonight. But, and I'm going to get into like astronaut profiles and things like that. But let's just talk about the vehicle itself. This is the rocket that is this is a photograph of the rocket that is out there. Okay. A couple of interesting tidbits on the rocket itself. Okay. The booster, brand new. Falcon 9 booster B, serial number 1078. Not very often you get a brand new booster, but here we are. And on the top, that's capsule number 206 or capsule Endeavour. Now there's some cool tidbits. First flew on Demo 1. Demo 1 was the very first time it went up. Demo 2. What did I say? Demo 1. Demo 2. Demo 2 launched from the Kennedy Space Center May 30th, 2020. Okay, and of course, if you remember, Bob and Doug were on that one. Then it took Crew 2 up in 2021, and last flew a commercial flight with Axiom Space. I remember being at the Space Coast for this, okay? Covering that. That was back, the last time that it lifted off was also from 39A, back on April of 2022. So the turnaround time for this is just under a year, which is kind of, it's kind of cool. Yeah, it's been 325 days basically on turnaround time. So, and there's listen, there's so many other little nerdy things that we're going to be talking about on the broadcast. I think I'll probably try and shoot for like an 8 o'clock Facebook Live tonight. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to go for. It just depends on like what time we get out there, all those things. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be shooting for. Jan says I need a brand new booster. Don't we all love good gravy? Never a dull moment, people. Never a dull moment. I love nerding out. I love nerding out. All right. Here's your 7-day forecast, people. Essentially, it's going to be hot. It's going to be hot. Mid to upper 80s this week. Do notice, just like we were talking about yesterday, a couple of showers in the forecast that... Oh, stop it, you putz. Couple of showers in the forecast. Oh, you're going to do it again? Stop. I'm trying to draw. Why aren't you letting me draw? Now will you let me draw? I don't understand. There it is. Okay. Couple of showers on Saturday because of a little cool front that'll actually make it our direction from 89 to 80 degrees. So it's not a big one, but we'll take it. Oh, Lucille, thank you, my love. Tim asking, got room for one more in the weather lab tonight? Technically, we do, but you're not credentialed. If you were credentialed, then you could ride. If not, then they're going to turn the weather lab around, and that is not good. All right. So it's Sunday. We're still in weekend world, so no 3:30 coffee talk, but we are going to have a special edition brought to you via Starlink too, by the way, from the Weather Lab. And I'm going to shoot for like 8 o'clock tonight. That way we can nerd out a little bit. We'll talk about the local forecast. We'll talk about Crew 6 and all of that stuff. Sound good? So we'll see each other like 8 o'clock tonight. All right, very good. And then I will be on TV for CW18 tonight at 10 and WESH 2 News at 11. And then tomorrow morning, we'll have a WESH 2 special report at about 1:30 in the morning, tracking and working right through liftoff of Crew 6. Okay, so yeah, lots of exciting coverage ahead. Good times. All right? All right, listen, be the sunshine in someone else's day. Thank you so much for hanging out. I'll see you all tonight after a little bit of